Hey guys, Garage here, and I've got two little tiny generators in for review. And I say tiny, I'm talking 25 pounds a piece, and we're talking 11 to 1200 watts continuous output on these little guys. They are absolutely just the smallest of the small, and initially barely even had a use case in my mind. I'm like, why would you want a generator that small? Well, let's get into those use cases. All right, so the first use case actually just came up yesterday for me. My daughter's school needed to borrow a generator. They needed power some outdoor speakers for one of their drumline things or something that they're doing with the school. And I loaned them out a generator, and I'm like, you know what? One of these little tiny guys would have been perfect for that application. You don't need a big generator for that. You don't need a loud generator for that. These would be absolutely perfect. And then I thought about, well, what other things could I use this for? And I'm like, well, it's not going to really run power tools unless they're really low power. It's not going to do certain things, but this is the type of generator I'd buy maybe to go on site, say I'm a contractor, and with so many things going to battery power, these would be perfect to plug your chargers into and just absolutely sip power because they're just so small and the engine assemblies are so small, they don't use a lot of fuel. I thought that would be a perfect use case. I'm like, what would I use something like this for? And I came up with it. I'm like, you know what? With my camping and my travel trailer, and I know for many others or RVs, whatever, we have very advanced systems on there now. We've got solar, we've got inverters, we have huge battery banks, we have all that stuff, right? And a lot of the overlanders and travel trailer guys, we don't even use generators hardly at all anymore, unless it's a really like emergency situation where we just don't have sun for days and we have to have something to charge up our batteries. Boom. These little guys are perfect. They're not going to power the AC. They're not going to power your microwave or anything else, say in a trailer. But what they are going to do is sip fuel. They're going to provide about at least 1,000 watts of output continuously to recharge your batteries if you get in a situation where you go for days and you just don't have enough sunlight, say, from your solar. I ran into that Lost Dutchman out here in Arizona. We went camping a few weeks ago. I guess you can call it camping. We were kind of on a pad and everything. So, but we were running 100% off solar for several days. But it was overcast, and by that last day, we were very, very low on power. Now, I could have drug one of my bigger generators out there, no big deal. But one of these would have been perfect. 25 pounds, it's tiny. I could have tucked it away, barely even noticeable in the trailer. And this would have provided that power I needed to just top up the batteries and then turn it off. And then I run for solar for several more cloudy days. These would be perfect options for that kind of thing. And by the way, my travel trailer, the whole thing is powered off EcoFlow Delta 2s and a Delta 2 and an extra battery. So just kind of an FYI. These are perfect to charge power stations if you can't get solar. I do wish they had a dual fuel option in something this small. And I know Alps makes some, but I'm not paying $600-700 for a little sub 1,000 watt generator from those guys just to get propane. I wish some of these manufacturers would come out with that model, a little tiny dual fuel in the 1,100-1,200 watt range. It'd be perfect for charging batteries. But anyways, those are my use cases. And now I'm really picky on generators. I don't just grab whatever off Amazon and be like, okay, I'm just going to grab these three and review it or get somebody to send me generators for free. I bought these with my own money because I wanted to test them out because these specific models caught my eye for numerous reasons. One, they were over 1,000 watts of output. We got 1,100 watts on this guy, 1,200 watts rated continuous on this guy. They were very, very affordable. At the time of purchase, this guy right here, I think this guy came in at like $270 or something like that. Now it kind of fluctuates all over in price, and this guy was right around just over $300. That's super, super cheap for generators, for anything really. I mean, gosh, that's very inexpensive. And so I got these in. They had all the features I would want, very basic features, except they don't have hour meters, but we can add those in. I'm actually going to do that once we do our start test. But they had the features I wanted, and I looked at so many generators in this output class, and I decided on these two. Now, it was kind of weird because I've been reviewing Pulsar and Heomaito generators in the past. You'll see past videos on it, but that wasn't the intention. I'm very brand agnostic. I don't care what brand I get. All these are made by different contract manufacturers anyways. It's just really a logo slapped on the side. These brands aren't making their own generators. So I don't care what brand, but it was curious that I ended up just back to this Pulsar and back to a Heomaito. They had what I wanted spec wise. So and for price and for the right price. Now I haven't run either of these. I haven't started them. I haven't done anything. And that's what this video is going to be about. This video is a combined video. I'm going to break this out into 2 separate reviews. So this intro really covers both of the actual reviews that are going to happen on these generators. And we're going to go down to everything that I do with all my generators. We're going to do a first start. We're going to tear it down, find out who made the generator. I've got ideas of who made these generators. I'm thinking this guy is a Dinking, this Pulsar. I'm thinking, and I think this guy is still a Sensi. I don't know, but we're going to find that kind of stuff out, and we're going to do a noise test on them and just generally see how they run, because I've got no idea. There's some real crap out there, and there's some really good stuff, and then there's, of course, luck of the draw. I don't know if I got a bad one, a good one with what I bought here, so we're going to find that out as well. And that's really it. So let's get on this. I'll quit talking, and let's get to the facts. All right, so taking a look at what comes with the Pulsar. Not a whole lot. You get a user manual. You do get your oil funnel. Love these things. A couple very basic tools for spark plug and a Phillips screwdriver. And you get a little bit of 1030 break-in oil. Pulsar does give you break-in oil. How much is in there? There we go, 11 ounces, which was what the manual said. Now, let's take a look at the generator as a whole. We do have a vented gas cap. So we got it on and off. We can actually seal up the gas tank, so this is good for transport. I do recommend transporting any generator in the bed of a truck or somewhere else where it's actually going to be vented, but if there's a case where you do have to put it in somewhere rather confined, you can close off your venting for your gas tank. Coming over here, we have run, and we have a choke to start it. So we're here on the side. This I love. This is so damn important, and let me tell you why. This is a fuel shutoff, okay? So with this, I can turn, say, gas on, but I can turn fuel back off while the engine is still running and drain the carburetor and carburetor bowl. That is so important to drain the bowl on a carburetor if these are going to be sitting for a while. So this is a really, really good feature that most larger generators don't have. On the larger generators, what you can do normally, say you're on run because they don't have a fuel shutoff, but say your selector switch is on run, you can turn them just barely before they're off switch, before the generator dies, and you can drain the bowl on the carburetor. But this one just has it built in. That's great. They need to do that on more generators, do a fuel cutoff. Looking at the front panel, we do have USB here, 2.1 standard USB ports. We can parallel this guy. This does have a CO2 protect. This is a reset, so if you do overload the inverter on this and it goes into protect mode, you can reset the inverter. Parallel output overload, low oil indicators, 20 amp sockets, even though we definitely don't need 20 amp sockets on this little generator. Barely does 1200 watts, but they're there. And we have a low idle switch. And if we truly want to turn off the generator, say you need to shut it off like right now, we're not just going to turn off fuel. You can use this switch here, your engine switch, to turn it on and off. But that is pretty much it. It's a very nice looking little generator. Like I said, though, super small. A little more of a dense weave on the spark arrestor itself, so that's kind of interesting. These type of spark arrestors are different than just a metal mesh. These usually require, or a metal screen, these usually require a lot more cleaning, so we'll pay attention to that. We'll see how this guy runs. But that is it for a first look at this Pulsar. I'm really curious if we get anywhere close to this surge rating on this, because I do know the GD400 being another generator I've reviewed, Pulsar's surge rating was kind of crazy talk, so it's never going to hit that. But let's see. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Thought you guys might get a kick out of this. So this is a tiny generator. This is a Pulsar GD400BN, the dual fuel 3000 watt that I absolutely love. But you can see the size difference in this little 1200 watt Pulsar compared to this 3000 watt unit. I mean, this is already a tiny generator, and now we're totally next level. So we walk around it. I mean, you can see the depth difference already. Height wise, about maybe an inch shorter on the handle. Widthwise, much smaller widthwise on this. Yeah, I just wanted you guys to check that out. Like I said, very small. All right, so prepping this guy for first start. I actually have never opened this. I don't know what to expect here. So it looks like we only have one Phillips screw on this panel. Being that the spark plug is here, I'm guessing this is a side to change the oil on. Plus it talks about the oil capacity here. So let's find out. One little machine screw on the side. I do wish it had a service door. It didn't have a screw, but that did come off really easy. Just one screw. And yeah, true. Holy cow, this is so small in here. Yeah, let's get this prep done for first start. So super long dipstick, which means that we may want to install a little bit longer magnetic dipstick, something like the size of the one for the Predator 3500. So I have some longer ones here, magnetic dipsticks that we'll use. So, actually, let me grab that really quick, because as just a standard practice, guys, if you're buying a generator or you're going to break one in, always have a magnetic dipstick installed during break-in. You want to get all the nasty steel, iron, whatever shavings are in there out. Obviously, aluminum shavings won't stick to a magnet, but this gets all the other stuff out that can really cause some unneeded wear and tear. So this is the longer magnetic dipstick. The link is in the video description, but this one is what you want to use for this this application. It gets down there. So this one will work out just fine. I'm going to screw in our oil funnel. And Pulsar again comes with the exact amount of oil, 10W30, for break-in. Get some of this foil into the oil. Good. All right, so what we're going to do is just tip this up. It's a very, you can't really see it, but it's a very clear oil. I've had this before from Pulsar. I don't know who they get their oil from. Sometimes it's a super clear synthetic looking oil like this. Sometimes it's a much more standard looking 10W30, quite a bit darker. And this is a perfect size container to refill to 11 ounces. And then you always have oil with you. And it also makes it really nice for quick oil changes because you have the exact amount of oil in a container ready to go at all times. So you just do your prep after each oil change. So, okay, so kind of gonna tip this up. I don't like wasting oil at all, but we're going to get every little bit of oil in there that we can get. Okay, let's wad up some paper towel under here. This does not have a little spout for like molded into the aluminum where it can like run out. This one is just right there, so I put that paper towel in there just to prevent drips into the case. Okay. The oil, 11 ounces, is right there in the threads. I mean, when you fill it up, that thing is filled up 100%. So just keep that in mind. This longer dipstick on. Even putting the dipstick in was just enough to get a little bit of oil to run out. Well, that's interesting. One thing that I did notice is right here, this has got a it's like a chamfer around the threading. So this big old O-ring in here, you got to kind of be careful with the pressure. I kind of over tightened it, and it wanted to kind of squirt that O-ring out. So you're not going to go full gur on that to seal it. That's really about it. Just, it's not going to come out on its own, but you don't want to over tighten that. So just the design of this case causes that O-ring to kind of squirt out a little bit. All right. Technically, this thing's ready to go. We're ready to fire it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cover back on. And I'm not doing any other modifications. No spark plug to this, no hour meter. I'm not doing anything until we find out, you know, how well this guy runs. So nice positive little clicks on this cover. It's kind of a weird white. It probably looks more white on the camera. I can't really tell. This is like a really like 1970s beige eggshell looking, it's kind of a dingy, ugly looking color, honestly. I wish it was a little better looking, or if they did a gray or a different color, but beggars can't be choosers. There we go. Very gently put that back in. A salary tool, not an hourly tool. All right, that's it for this. Let's go check out our first start. All right, so let's give this Pulsar a first start. This truly is a first start. This little gen has never been run. Let's see what happens. See how hard it is to start. Gonna give it a good splash of fuel. Whoa! That's not good. Splashed out all over the place. That was weird. Give me just a second to get this cleaned up. What a mess. All right, so there's a little bar, a red bar right in here. Most generators have that bar, but for whatever reason, it just splashed right out. So probably kind of my fault, but that just kind of sucked making a mess. So let's get our cap back on. We're gonna turn this vent to on, so it'll vent. Let's turn our fuel to run. We're going to make sure, I don't even know if you can see this, eco mode is off, engine is set to run, and see what it takes to start this guy. Oh, let's go ahead and put this to choke back here. Forgot one thing. That was easy to start, easy to pull. Go ahead and hit eco mode. Throttle it down. This thing is absolutely just purring, and it's so lightweight. So fuel capacity is about 0.6 of a gallon, so it doesn't take much fuel. That is wild. What a nice, smooth running little generator. Just kind of letting it do its thing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let this guy run for 1 hour straight. And I may vary a few small loads on it, but nothing crazy over that time. And let it do its 1 hour quick break-in, and we're going to do our first 1 hour oil change. All right, let's get into the oil change on this Pulsar. First oil change, right at an hour. Had a timer set. Let's see what we get. Really easy to take off this service door. We're going to use this piece of metal to tilt it back. Hot oil expands. There's literally no drip tray or anything right here for the oil to fall into on this, other than this the bottom chassis of the generator. Like, it's not molded into the aluminum or anything. So tilting it back, because when oil expands, there's a chance it's just going to run out. Whew. Wow. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. Yeah, it's not focusing on it. There we go. There is just nothing. God, this thing's hot. There is nothing really on this dipstick at all. I would say that's the cleanest I've ever had magnetic dipstick come out. Gosh dang. Hot, 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 hot. And make sure it was actually magnetic. And it is. How little that had on there. Wow, that's mighty impressive. So did not expect that at all. So let's go ahead and let's put our funnel in. Ugh, come on. It's got like an O-ring. Oop, kind of sorted out. It's got an O-ring on the base of these little funnels. I told you before, it's got a weird chamfer and kind of a really narrow edge where this where the aluminum is machined. It kind of causes the O-rings, even on that magnetic dipstick, to kind of squirt out the side. But anyway, let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. And remember, color is not the critical thing I'm really looking at here. And the reason being is I used T4 to break in the other generator, and it's darker already. This was really, really light in color. Whatever 1030 break-in oil came with this Pulsar, who knows? Whatever cheap stuff they found. Totally fine for break-in. Super watery, though. All right, what do we got here? To my eyes, just more transparent than that T4 that I used, but I would say pretty much equal on the glitter, a little bit of stripper dust, the little bit of aluminum shavings. So what I'm looking at, you can see it, completely fine, completely normal for a first break-in. Nothing to worry about there at all. Totally good with that. I refilled my little Pulsar bottle that this generator came with. Filled it right up to this level with 1540 Rotella T6 synthetic. I'm just going to go ahead and dump it in. Done deal. Go ahead and take our funnel out. Drop in our magnetic dipstick so we can go again. Whoa. Yeah, squirted that O-ring right out. You can't just go cranking down on this just from the way this whole thing is shaped. Not a super fan of the way they cast this, but it's what it is. All right, so next up, I'm going to go ahead and tear this thing all the way down. We're going to look at the inside, look around at just every little bit and piece we can see in here. Let's see how they made it. Let's see who made it. Let's check it out. All right, so this thing is completely apart. Let's start at the back here. Spark arrestor on this guy is a very thick material, like 3/16. It's a heavy mesh, stainless steel mesh. I've had generators with this type of mesh in the past. I don't usually like it because if the generator does run rich, these clog up. This one does not appear to run rich at all. So after an hour, it still looks like stainless steel. And taking a look at the spark plug, it agrees with me. This thing is definitely not running rich at our altitude. It's on a very fuel-saving mode. Yeah, so I imagine it'll actually run quite well when I get it up in the mountains, up 8,000 feet. It's probably going to run actually just fine. I will lose power, of course, but it's going to run just fine. So anyways, let's take a look at this thing. How the heck is this thing built? I would say it looks like it's built quite well. It's pretty basic. Looks like we have a CO2 detector right there. We've got a little tiny inverter sitting in the front. All looks well put together. I did notice this machine had quite a bit of vibration compared to the other small Heomaito model that I've been looking at. Now, I haven't taken that one apart yet, but I did notice this. I want to point this out. These are solid engine mounts directly to the chassis. That may explain why this has a lot more vibration once you get up into the RPM than the other one. But while the back mounts are solid, you have this weird little pivot arm thing. I don't know if you can see it, but then it's got rubber mounts at the front, very soft rubber mounts. So I don't know why they did that. I wish it had soft mounts all around, probably kill some of that vibration. But looking at the front panel assembly, pulled it down, took a look around at all the wiring. Everything looks nice and tidy in there. I didn't see anything, any red flags or any chafing issues or nothing. It actually looks really well put together. Fuel tank. I just have it sitting here for now. I didn't want to disconnect it because I still have quite a bit of fuel in here. There is a hidden screw, so if you want to take the side panel off, there's a hidden screw, and that hidden screw goes right to the fuel shutoff. So it's kind of tacked on just with one screw right here. So you got to take that out. This does have a fuel filter. I was really glad to see that. I've noticed several generators, like the big Heomaito I reviewed the other day, this big old 3500 ID. That one did not have any fuel filters. I didn't like that. But taking a look around here, again, all looks well put together. I don't know if you can see down in there. Looks like the part number for the actual inverter assembly. Carburetor is a Yinba. Let's take a look at that part number in there. It is, it does have an electronic throttle control, little servo. This one's an 8-volt DC unit. I'm used to seeing 12 volts. This is an 8-volt, but it has this little cap on here. Help protect it. Just kind of walk around to the other side. One thing I noticed, didn't quite like, but it is what it is, just how this thing is built. The air filter assembly is on the opposite side of where you do your oil changes or general maintenance. So you do have to take down the opposite side to get to the air filter. Looks like a much larger air filter though. I did confirm, you can see it right in here, as I expected, Dinking power. So this is a Dinking generator, built generator. They're the contract manufacturer. They built the rotating assembly and generating assembly in the back. And I think that really covers it for this teardown. No complaints. I mean, it is what it is. Nice and tidy, functional. The only modifications I'm going to do, I'm going to throw an hour meter and tachometer on here, which they're just little, they just stick on with double-sided tape. Check the video description for the upgraded spark plug part number. We're going to do an iridium plug, which is a CR7HIX. It's the equivalent from this torch plug. We'll do a better spark plug because I don't like generators that are hard to start when they get wet valved. Iridium kind of cures that, and just better. It's going to last the life of the generator. I'm going to put in the hour meter tachometer on here, and the whole install, all it really is you just wrap a wire around this spark plug lead whole bunch of times, just kind of coil it up there about that far, just real tight coils, zip tie it so they don't come off the spark plug lead, and then you run the wire to the outside of the chassis and stick on your hour and tach meter. There's nothing to those. They're so simple to put on. No hard wiring, no crimping, no nothing, just literally you wrap it on the outside. It's an inductive pickup. So we'll add that to this little guy. And that's going to be it. I'm going to get this guy all put back together. And next up, because we've done our first oil change, we've put our hour meter, our spark plug, everything in there. we're going to go and we're going to load test this guy. See you in a minute. All right, guys, we are ready to load test this little Pulsar. We've got her all warmed up. She's idling very, very nice. It is a very smooth generator, but just because of those engine mounts, you do get a lot more vibration in this unit than you do the other unit that I tested, the Heomaito, that's in this output class. So I've got everything hooked up. Let's go ahead and we're warmed up. Let's go ahead and start adding load to it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good load off this heater. Here, ramping right up. Now eco mode is still on and it's just ramping up on its own. You can see what I'm talking about with that extra vibration. You can really feel the vibration in the chassis. You have to hold this thing still. Holding the cord, you can't really tell, but I'm holding it. If I let go, it just starts flopping. So we're at 1100 watts. It's letting it ramp up. We're almost to its rated output. There we go, 1200 watts, that's its rated. We're exceeding its output, its rated output right now. Add a little more to it. Let's see if we can get it to go into clipping. Yep, there it is. Backing it off. So 1220 watts, and that's all I had. Kind of bringing it back up. 1230. There it is. So I saw 1238. Let's go ahead and take the load off temporarily. So I saw 1238 watts. That's a little bit over its rated, 38 watts over its rated. I'll take that. Now let's go ahead and just hammer it again with full load. Back up there. With these little heaters for load tests, they're kind of slow to ramp up, as you can see. Add a little bit more to it. There we go. We're right at our rated output. No load. Full load. Not bad. Like I said, my only complaint at full throttle, if I let this cord go, you can see that thing flopping. That's really how much this thing shakes. It really shakes. Now, would I have noticed that if I didn't have a smoother running generator sitting side by side, that this one shakes a lot more? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you definitely get vibration through the chassis, but I mean, it's not awful, but it is definitely noticeable, especially with how smooth the other model is that I tested. So there you have it. That is our load test. Let's compare these two generators sound output wise. So at idle and 3 feet of distance, that's virtually standing over the units, they both were dead even at 69.4 dB. You can easily have a conversation over either of these generators. Now we move out to 50 feet distance at idle, and I'm not sure why, but the Heomaito was about 2 dB louder. I can't really explain it because standing over them, it was identical, but you get out to 50 feet and the Heomaito was a little bit louder. All right, we go to 50 feet at 50% load, and they were virtually identical. Now, keep in mind, I consider 1 dB a margin of error, so we were under the margin of error here, virtually indistinguishable at 50 feet at 50% load. Now we move out to 50 feet at 100% load, and the Pulsar is slightly louder, right at 2 dB louder. That's just barely perceivable to the human ear. So not that much louder. I would pretty much consider these guys dead even across the board. Please keep in mind I do all of my sound testing on concrete, which is an absolute worst case scenario. If you set this generator on grass or you're out in the woods on pine needles or whatever, it's going to be a bit quieter, probably around, I'd say 4 to 5 dB. Now, I do have to quantify that numbers with some testing, but that is my best guesstimate. So do realize that this is an absolute worst case scenario. All right, guys, I am exhausted. The sun is down. I've been at this all day long. I actually had a blast testing these two generators. There has to be one winner, though. Now, kind of as I mentioned at the first part of the video, this ending video, this final thoughts, is really the exact same one for both, because I want you guys to know who I chose despite which video you're watching. So even though there's two videos, two reviews, I want you guys to know what I ended up choosing myself. Now, it really came down to serviceability and how well I thought the generator was built and how it ran. And with those factors, even though I think the Pulsar looks better, the Heomaito, this ugly duckling, that kind of took the win, hands down for me. I love the air filter and oil on the same side. I loved how easy it came apart. I mean, that thing, I took it down to nothing so fast for a generator. It's probably the easiest generator I've ever had to take apart. This Pulsar fought me. I mean, it has all kinds of little like plastic hook latches where they like lock in, and they were made to lock in one time, and it's really hard to get them to pry apart. It was a pain in the butt to take apart, and I mean, I didn't even tear it down near the level of this Heomaito. I didn't even tear it down near that far, but it was very difficult. So if I ever had to do a major overhaul or something major to that Pulsar, it's going to take a lot more work to get it apart than this guy. I liked how smooth this thing was. It was so glassy. It reminded me of a Honda, and we all know Honda makes extremely good generators. They're the gold standard, right? But I'm not paying like almost $1 a watt for a Honda when I could almost buy 4 of these generators for what the Honda costs, and I get a glassy, smooth generator. I mean, I can't ask for more than that. That thing ran so smooth. So, yeah, I mean, it does what it says it does in the label. It actually exceeded it. It runs smooth. I mean, just for all intents and purposes, it's the winner for me. Now, this Pulsar, I'm not returning it. It's not broken. It's not defective. That's not why I do these reviews, is to get them in and then just return them. It actually is a great generator. It's just, I like this one better. I'm going to give this one a new home, though. My daughter's school needs a generator for their outdoor activities, for their amplifiers, and all their concert stuff and their drumline stuff. And they just have use for a generator in this wattage range. It actually makes perfect sense. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to donate it to them. They've got a great teacher over there. They're trying really hard. They're doing great stuff. It's really cool watching them. So they're going to get that generator, and it's going to eat a lot of hours up, I'm sure. And I'll let them know that, hey, bring it back every 10 hours, even though that's not by the book. It's way early, but bring it back every 10 hours. I'll do a full service on it for them and keep it going. And yeah, I would say that's really it. I don't really have much more to add. Got hour meters on both of these. We changed the spark plug. They don't really need upgrades other than just keep track of your hours. They're both just well-built little machines, and I got to throw it to both of them. They both got it right with having fuel shutoffs so you can drain the carb without having to take a side panel off and drain the bowl of the carb itself. You just shut off the fuel, let it run until they die. That every generator needs to have that feature. That is fantastic for a gas generator. And manufacturers, if you're watching this, all I'm asking for, give me something in 1100 watts, 1200 watts like one of these guys in a dual fuel, and I'd really, really be happy with that. That would be super, super cool. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys, and I appreciate you watching as always. Please check the video description for links to both of these generators if you want to buy either one of them for whatever reason. Check that video description, or if you want to get any parts or spark plugs or any of that, that all helps me out. So appreciate you. I will catch you later. Peace out.